Hello and welcome to Grace Tutorial. In this video lecture, we will be discussing about one of the most significant part of the federalism chapter, that is decentralization in India. Well, before we coming into the point of this decentralization, we need to understand that what does the term centralization refer to and what does the term decentralization refer to and what's the difference between the two. Let me give you a brief idea on these two terms. Well, the centralization means the concentration of authority at the top level of the administrative system. On the other hand, decentralization means dispersal of authority among the lower levels of the administrative system. Let me give you a brief understanding on this. In a centralized system of administration, the lower levels, called the field officers, they cannot act on their own initiatives. They do have to refer most of their problems to the headquarters. That means they cannot take any decisions in their own in order to solve the problem. They need to ask to their headquarters for any suggestions or for any other matter to take the decisions regarding to the solution of the problem. On the other hand, in a decentralized system of administration, the lower levels, called the field officers, they can take the decisions in their own, and they no need to depend on their higher authorities in order to solve the problem, because they have been given the power to take the decisions. That is in case of a decentralized system of administration. Before we coming into the point of the evolution of or the establishment of the scheme of the democratic decentralization, let us try to understand about one of the most significant term, that is Panchayati Raj. So what does this Panchayati Raj basically mean? The term Panchayati Raj in India signifies the system of rural local self-government in India. It was established in all the states of India by the act of the state legislatures. But you need to understand that why this was established. This was established to build the democracy at the grassroots level, and it was entrusted for all the developmental activities in the rural areas. Basically mean it has been constitutionalized through the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992. Well, if you look at the evolution of the Panchayati Raj, in November 1957, the government of India appointed a committee under the chairmanship of the Balwaan meheta, and that's why the name of the committee is Balwaan Meheta Committee. And this committee was appointed by the government of India in order to examine the working conditions of the community development programs and the National Extension Service, and to suggest some certain measures regarding the better working of the community development programs and the National Extension Service. Well, what did this committee do? The committee submitted its report in November 1957. So what are the recommendations made by the committee? When the committee submitted its report in November 1957, it recommended for the establishment of the democratic decentralization, which ultimately came to be known as the Panchayati Raj. So what are the specific recommendations made by the committee? We have the various recommendations. Number one, the establishment of a three-tier Panchayati Raj system, that is the village panchayat at the village level, the panchayat samithi at the block level, and the Gilla parisad at the district level. And all these three tiers should be organically linked with each other. That is the recommendation number one. And the recommendation number two, the Gram Panchayat should be constituted directly with elected representatives, whereas the Panchayat Samithi and the Gilla Parisad should be constituted with indirectly elected representatives. What is the recommendation number three? All the planning and the developmental activities should be entrusted to these bodies. Recommendation number 4. The Panchayat Samithi should be the executive body, whereas the Gilla Parisad should be the advisory or the coordinating body. The district collector should be the chairperson of the Gilla Parisad. That is the recommendation number 5. And what is the two recommendations? What are other two recommendations made by this committee? There should be a transfer of the power. The genuine transfer of the power should be there in order to effect for the effective governance of the rural local area. That means if the power is transferred genuinely from the state government to the rural local self-government, then each and everything in that constituency will be developed. So there should be a genuine transfer of the power for the good and effective governance in that system, in that region. We have the recommendation number 7. That is, the adequate resources should be transferred to these bodies. That means all these recommendations made by the Balwaan Meheta committee, and it's submitted on November 1957. Well, in January 1958, the National Development Council accepted the recommendations made by the committee, and the council did not insist on a single rigid pattern. It left to the state in order to evolve its own way on the basis of the suitability of the local conditions. That means the council did not insist on a single rigid pattern. Completely it was left to the state on the basis of the local conditions. Well, what happened? On 2nd October 1959, the first Panchayati Raj system was established in the Rajasthan, that is in the Nagaur district. And on this day, the Prime Minister inaugurated the Panchayati Raj scheme in the Nagaur district, that is in Rajasthan, and that was followed by the Andhra Pradesh in the same year, that is in the year 1959. Thereafter, almost all the states of India adapted the system of this Panchayati Raj. Basically, what is this Panchayati Raj? The Panchayati Raj is a rural local self-government. This Panchayat consists of a group of ward members. That means often called the Panch or the President or the Sarpanch. So the head of the Panchayat is what basically called the Sarpanch. When you see all the voters in that village are the members of this Panchayat, and this Panchayat, it works under the supervision of the Gram Sabha. The Panchayat works under the supervision of the Gram Sabha, and it meets twice or thrice in a year to approve the annual budget and to review the performance of the Panchayat. Basically what happens, these two or more Gram Panchayat constitute together to form the Panchayat Samithi. So the people of the Panchayat Samithi, the representatives of the Panchayat Samithi are elected by the members of these Panchayats, the members of these Samitis. Similarly, the members, there are some of the Panchayat Samitis. So these Panchayat Samitis constitute together to form the Gilla Parisad. That means the MLAs of the district or the member of parliament of that region and all other officials are the members of that district Panchayat. Well, basically we need to understand how the Gram Panchayat at the village level is very much important. Similarly, the urban area developmental government are controlled under by this Panchayat, by these municipalities as well as the municipal corporations. So the political head of the municipality is basically called a chairperson. Similarly, such an officer in the municipal corporation is called a mayor. Generally, the municipalities are there in the towns, and the municipal corporations are there in some big cities, and the political head of that municipal corporation is basically called a mayor. That means a mayor is the political head, and the administrative officer is the administrative head of that municipal corporations or the municipalities. If you will look at some of the data in India, there are over 36 lakh elected representatives in the panchayats and the municipalities, which is even a bigger number than the population of the many other countries in the world. It's a very big number. We need to understand here the point. What is the significance of this 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992? So the major step taken towards the decentralization in 1992. Before this amendment, there was no regular election for these local government bodies. But after this election, the election has become mandatory for these local government bodies, and that is also the regular election. And after this amendment, the seats are reserved in these executive bodies for this scheduled caste as well as the scheduled tribe people. And after, at least 1/3 of the seats are reserved for the women. And there is a body called the independent body, which is an election commission, which is an independent body. Election commission is basically an independent body which was established in every state, and this body is established in every state. So the independent body called the election commission has been established in every state for the free and the conductance of the good and fair elections in that region. So you need to understand that what's the difference between the amendment before the amendment and after this amendment. So what are the major steps taken towards the decentralization in 1992? You need to mention all these points. The major steps taken towards decentralization in 1992 are the regular election. There should be a regular election for these local government bodies, and the seats are reserved for SCs and STs in these executive bodies, and 1/3 of the seats are reserved for women, and the independent body called the election commission should be established for the conductance of the presiding the fair elections in that region, and the adequate resources should be transferred from the state government to the rural local self-government and urban local self-government. Similarly, there should be a genuine transfer of the power from the state government to the rural local self-government. So these are the steps taken towards the decentralization in 1992. Well, the data of this 36 lakh elected representatives in the municipalities as well as the municipal corporations as well as the panchayats is a very big number, which is even greater than any other population. This number is greater than any other population of the countries in the world. There are many countries in the world which is even lower than its population. That is the 36 lakh. So it's a very big number. Whenever this decentralization has been established in India, that it has strengthened and it has increased the strengthening of the democracy. So in order to build the democracy at the grassroots level, this was established. And before that, there was no recognition for the voice of the women of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes in these bodies. But after this decentralization, after this Amendment Act of 1992, there's a voice of women in every elected representatives, in every elected bodies. So these are the major changes took place after the Amendment Act of 1992. That's what all we need to understand from the decentralization in India. I hope all of you like the video, and if you would like to watch the next chapter, please do like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest notification. Thank you very much for watching.